Bom dia a todos. And bem, realmente estava a saber in Portuguese because Billy really was a really iconic person for a lot of us and a previous generation. And so it's intense to be here where he kind of grew up and all of the all of the friends and the history that he put together. So yeah, as we surf over all these years and catching up, having Tom Carroll here and Bethany's going to be speaking later, it's just something amazing and a great honor to be here. So thank you so much for having me. This talk is really about the more and more I'm able to share this. It's really about the universal strength of overcoming fears. So if we accept that fear is something that is within all of us, then we can be here. And a bit to João, this is actually we are inside the place that there was a big fight over the wave. And so how did Afonso and the whole team here at the North Fest overcome this fear and do something wonderful in a beautiful building? So overcoming fears is really a very prevalent emotion that we have to deal with. So hopefully we can go back and forth over this theme. And I think big wave surfing, in honor of a fallen soldier like Billy, the fear of us dying. And Nazaré is one of these places that challenges us to the maximum. It's an amazing location. It's a very special place on the planet, but at the same time, the violence and just the intensity of the waves really make it a very hostile place. So a place where fear naturally occurs. One of the beautiful things, more maybe for the non-surfing community, is how Nazaré, it's a wave, but it's all what happens underwater that makes the wave be so huge. So normally in a non-surfing environment, there is a complete unawareness, a complete lack of knowledge in terms of how a big wave actually forms or how a perfect wave forms. And it's all about what happens underwater. And so because it's not visible, it sometimes becomes more difficult to explain to people from the non-surfing community how waves occur. Why is the bathymetry important? Why is the whole, what's called a surf ecosystem important to preserve? And so the Grand Canyon, compared to the Canyon of Nazaré that goes from Nazaré all the way to Peniche to the Berlingas Islands, is a massive, massive canyon. So 4 kilometers deep. It goes for 250 kilometers out to sea. So a very geological phenomena. This beautiful, beautiful underwater reality that when we're on the fort, we don't even see it. We're completely unaware of so much going on underwater. And so I think surfing is actually a great bridge because we are over water, so it's more visible. So people who are on land, it's a great way for us to introduce this passion for the ocean, all of the love that we have for the ocean in a way that's more visible. So surfing really does have a huge bridge here in terms of ocean conservation. Because what happens underwater, if you're not diving or if you're not studying it, it's just not visible. The Grand Canyon is very visible. And so Nazaré, obviously, it's the giant waves that's made it such a phenomenon and a world-class place. And so this is a wave that was very special at Nazaré. So now we can kind of zoom in. Okay, we're on land and now we're already entering the water. That's my dear friend and guardian, Eric Rebier. This wave was a really special one. This one, everything came together. It was pretty much after this wave that I said, okay, I think I can kind of retire and maybe dedicate myself to environmental movements. But what's maybe not perceptive is the shadow of the lip goes over me. And I remember at that second that this might be the end or not. And it's just the speed, it's a bit unfair. The footage doesn't give justice to how fast we're going. But everything you're doing, you're so present in that moment. Everything is chattering and you're just really trying to hold on. Do the classic bend your knees, that we always teach in the surf schools. Bend your knees. Well, you got to bend your knees, that's for sure. Yeah. And and everything came together. Yay. So I kind of after this it helps a little bit to I like sharing a very basic breathing exercise because this is the breathing exercise that really is all about what overcoming fears. And when I say overcoming, it's more channeling fear. So I think maybe that's even a better way. And so if you can bear with me, and I'll just do a couple of like, it's a very bit, if you want to get nerdy, you can go really, deep into this, but just a very basic. So we're going to do just some really deep inhales and exhales, and then we'll hold our breath. David, don't overdo it, okay? You don't need to faint for 3 minutes. No, we'll just do a quick little 1 minute, and then we'll see how we feel about that. So the whole idea about breathing and then holding your breath is that it shakes you a little bit. So holding your breath is one of the most primordial fears. Not breathing is one of our most primordial fears. So if you're able to tap into that one, then other things can seem a little bit easier. But there's okay, is everyone okay with this? So if you can get in a nice comfortable position, no crossed legs if that's okay, and get off your phone, Valiant, please. Okay. So deep inhales, you can go through your nose and out through your nose or through your mouth, either way. So let's do 25 of these, okay? So if you get dizzy, it means you're doing it well. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let me hear you. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Last 5, 21, 22, 23, last 2, and 25. Hold your breath. Amazing. Close your eyes. That normally helps a little bit. Raise your hand if you're still with me. Wow, very good. Okay. So we're halfway through. Jess, you can go right into it. Okay. Last 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, thanks for that, guys. Thank you. So, I mean, just from an awareness, 1 minute is close to the records if you're under a wave. And it's the same minute, it's the same amount of time. If I was, to fall on that wave, it probably would have been a bit longer. But what's normally considered the 2-wave hold downs, and when there's a little bit of, just that really edge of what we're able to withstand, obviously it's the turbulence of a wave that makes the breath hold much harder, but it's the same amount of time. So that helps us a lot in our cross training to know that this same minute is the same minute if we're able to stay relaxed, obviously tumbling, our body moving, and all of the things that shake us out of a calm, room to hold our breath. But very good. 1 minute, no training. I just threw you guys right into this, and everyone can pretty much 30 seconds. If it was a huge wave at Lhasa or any of these breaks, normally it's 15 to 20 seconds. So I think it's a good way, and it's a good kind of barometer for how you're feeling. So if you're not able to hold your breath for 40 seconds, it means you're probably pretty tense, a little bit nervous, and not able to relax. And so it's just a cool thing to check in on. And it really kind of places us in terms of, again, this primordial fear of not breathing. And so when we begin to look at overcoming fears, and this is something that Nazare and big wave surfing in general kind of is constantly challenging us, we need to come up with things that can be useful, that can help us keep at it. And so these are basically just 4 principles, 4 values that I kind of just gathered over the years in terms of things that I found are useful to overcoming fears. But maybe before I go into that, maybe because we're kind of a kind of more intimate room, maybe we can just say any ideas about how overcoming fears. If anyone has maybe a fear or how they overcame it, or just an idea, how can we overcome fears? Maybe from yesterday's talk, the younger generation, maybe out in the back. You want to say, you understand fears? And you in the green jersey, yeah. How do you think we can overcome fears? Confidence, very good. And how do you get confident? Hey, I didn't prepare this. I didn't set this up. I promise. Very good. Thank you. Very good. It's exactly this, preparation. He said it. So in our world, it's physical and mental. So for surfing, you obviously need to be in touch with your body. You need to understand what you're preparing yourself for. So these breath exercises came from that world, on land, also in a swimming pool. We have a friend of ours who's really helped us do dynamic. So what we're looking for is the dynamic breath hold. So this one is more to calm us down. In the water, in the ocean, it's a more aggressive breath hold. And so what we look for is just simulations of that. And in the pool, you can actually get your heartbeat beating pretty high, and then you go for the breath hold. And so these kind of exercises, they can go on and on, but they're the basic ones that are you able to lower your heartbeat under a bit of stress to be able to do the exercise in a swimming pool. I think more and more mental preparation is something that I think, thank God, it's a bigger and bigger tool these days. And so, from visualization, from, understanding why are you doing this? There's so many things that go into the mental preparation. I actually, to this day, I'm very thankful just because of a bit of the competitive, not only the big waves, but if you're in a comp, then it's just even more pressure, and you don't want to disappoint people who invested in you. And so the mental preparation ends up being something that I think really goes a very, very long way. And one of the things that I think, maybe just a quick segue here on the mental preparation, and Tommy Carroll was here, so he would, there he is, yeah, Tommy. I can only imagine, like for Pipeline and for all of these, how much this mental preparation goes. But I always remember this essence of, and one of my coaches, he told me, just imagine, this isn't a huge opportunity to put on a show. The pressure, if you're feeling pressure, it means that, gosh, this is a huge moment. This is a huge opportunity. And I think even with kids and the younger generation, if they're able to channel, again, this fear of disappointing, this fear of not putting on a good performance, that is all about mental preparation. That is all about, okay, this is a special day. Whatever happens, but I'm able to go all at once. But here, set in this room, it's not considered a very special thing, but this is actually part of mental preparation. So you have to go over these scenarios and you have to repeat them so that then when that time comes, you're happy to be on the stage. You're happy to be, in the contest. You're happy to put on the jersey, and it's not a weight. It's not something that puts you down and you're already thinking of what might go wrong. So, in this day and age, it's so cool. I'm so glad I was able to catch a little bit of yesterday's panel. Innovation and technology. In the big wave world, obviously the jet ski was one of the biggest innovations that came along with the vests, the inflatable vests, and obviously all of the innovation and technology, and this was something that was discussed yesterday, doesn't substitute the hard work, doesn't substitute what was going before, the preparation. And so if you think you can go and buy a vest and have a buddy who's a really jet ski driver and you can do whatever you want, that's a really big mistake. And you're quickly going to understand that that's why fears exist, so that you don't do stupid things. Let's just say it the way it is. And so innovation and technology in the big wave world, it's huge. You can see the tow boards. I mean, it's just something that really helps us push forward. And I think in the sustainable world and in the environmental world, it's also something key for us to tap into. Again, if we're overcoming the fear of climate change, if we're overcoming the fear of not having environmental actions going on, innovation and technology will definitely be part of the tools for us to move forward and to overcome this fear of not having a positive impact. So, teamwork. In big wave surfing, I mean, at this kind of scenario, it's, so many times, and listening to stories yesterday, I mean, back in the day, it was a pretty solitary endeavor. Maybe you get 2 or 3 buddies and you just go. But even then, just getting 2 or 3 buddies could already be under the window of teamwork. And if you see someone get caught inside and they're smashed, you know that your friend is going to be worried about you. He's going to be checking in to see if you're going to go in, and you're not alone. So teamwork, and us, I think, as humans, as a species, we need this. And so, yes, there can be the surfer who, within a more corporate or a more business environment could be the sales rep, but then you have a jet ski driver who's also always looking over you, and he has a huge tool to help you. You have the spotter who's also kind of having an overview of where you are for safety. And last but not least, kind of the whole architecture of what's going on. And so I had a friend of mine, he was actually my tow partner at the Nazaré Challenge, and he caught a huge wave, and but there was no picture of it. There was no, it wasn't caught on film. And so I think there was a presentation, and Garrett was there, McNamara, an amazing job he's done at Nazaré. I mean, the pioneering work, all of these kind of, safety protocols, all of that, it was him who kind of established it. He brought the technology, so it's always a job very well done. But he was kind of saying, in that sense, there was a little bit of this, hey, maybe this other guy, that he caught a bigger wave than your wave, that kind of seeing how he would react, like just trying to get something, some emotion out of him. And so what he said is, man, this guy, he doesn't have a very good team, does he? And so that just completely diffused and just positioned what we are doing in big wave surfing, or in any area. If you do it without a team, yes, if you're very talented, you can really go really far. But if you really want to make some change, you're going to have a team. If you're really going to make a more sustainable impact, you're going to have a team. And so teams obviously, have pros and cons. And so this is something, but I think this is good because a lot of us are running organizations and, are in this environment. And so you can imagine how difficult it is to deal with mistakes, right, at this level, at what we're doing. So you can imagine, for example, if he misses a rescue, the consequences on the surfer. So the surfer gets destroyed. He gets completely annihilated because this guy kind of missed it. Maybe made a small mistake, not very serious, but the consequences of that mistake are normally, just violent, or they could be even worse. It could be injury, it could be a lot of things. So what I'm talking about here is how within a team environment do we deal with internal failures? So with mistakes within our own team. And so this ends up being, again, not forgetting that why is this worth it to overcome fears? So the fear of our organization not having a positive impact, we're going to have to deal with mistakes. We're going to have teammates who've missed my best wave. What are you going to do? Are you going to, and so the question here that I'm sharing is that it's not in a big high pressure moment. It's not good to yell at that person. Yes, in a debrief, of course, it's important not to sugarcoat the mistake, but you cannot, especially if you're in the water, and I've seen this with so many teams, you miss a wave, you go for the wrong wave. As surfers, it's the most common thing. You paddle for a wave, or you just go for the wrong wave. It's not the biggest wave, or it closes out, or it's too small. And if you start arguing with your jet ski driver, do you think he's going to perform better after you argued and you just shouted in his face? I mean, it seems really obvious, but it happens over and over. And what you see is, you see that team that's bickering and arguing, they disappear. They no longer see any other opportunities. That wave that I caught, that Eric put me on, it was amazing. What he said is, João, stay quiet. We're not going to talk. We're just going to stay super present in this moment. And the other guys, so there was Lucas Chumbo, had first priority, Sebastian, the current world record holder. So there were like 2 or 3 teams that had priority over us. And this was the thing. And we had a really tough morning. That morning, it was huge swell. One of the guys messed up. The jet ski got almost lost on the sand. So everyone was already pretty, tense. And so, but we were able to kind of just regroup and be quiet and be present and let the others kind of chat. What happens? Opportunity, obviously, the very obvious opportunities are kind of easy to identify. The focus and teamwork and all of these things that we're talking about really occurs when the opportunities aren't as obvious. That's when this work makes sense. That's when this is worth it. So obviously, this was kind of a wave that came under them. And so if we weren't super sharp, we would have maybe been complaining, oh man, all the other guys are catching all the set waves. There's no, and we wouldn't even see this opportunity. We wouldn't even see a wave that obviously, because it hit a little bit more, that's an insider. No, it wasn't an insider, it was a set wave. But anyways, it didn't look like one because it wasn't as prominent. And so I think this is, for me, when I remember this story, it just makes it so obvious in all of our areas how many times when we are discussing about the missed opportunities, we start looking at the opportunities that we might have to grow, or if we start looking too much at the competitive environment. And I hear more and more, in the nonprofit world, there is a competitiveness. I remember at the very start of Save the Waves, Surfrider was a little bit, draw kind of big brother. No, this is, this is my plate. Push off, go find your plate. And so obviously the collaborative surf schools, we're in an environment with a lot of surf schools. Obviously, it's not the first thing that you think about to collaborate with your fellow competitors. Surf competition, it's not the first thing. And then hearing stories from Tom yesterday about some of probably his best friends were previous competitors. So it's just something we're sharing the same space. And so if we're able, obviously, to take care of ourselves, so I think obviously within one thing is your team, one thing is a fellow competitor or someone that's sharing that same space, but you really have to go a little bit above and beyond to understand that there's lots of opportunities. And so yes, you might miss that opportunity, you might lose that contest, you might lose that heat to a fellow competitor, but if you do all the things that you need to do well, you're going to win the next heat. You're going to get that next grant. You're going to, succeed in whichever space you are. And so you might miss a client, a surf school, because you're positioned a bit further down the beach or something. But if you just keep doing what you need to do, if you keep focused on your own team and doing, that core work, it's inevitable that you're going to succeed. And these values, I took, sorry, this photo, I'm a goofy footer, and the guy, he put me on the right. Damn it. Shit, Tom, you understand. Damn it. Gratitude. I'm grateful for the photo. I think gratitude, for me, it was where this really, really kind of shook me to my core was a year that I had requalified for the Big Wave World Tour. It's kind of, just a group of paddle surfers, and the tour came together, and I'm from Portugal, so I was with all my heroes, and it was just an amazing time. But then I moved back to Portugal, and I fell off the tour. And there was a contest in Nazaré. I got a really good result, and I got back on tour. So I was really excited, and I did a crowdfunding campaign. I had amazing sponsors. I had all the best boards. A big surfboard factory was backing me. Everything seemed physically, I was at the best possible form I could have ever imagined. And I was just super, super excited. And the various stops, Puerto Escondido, beautiful, massive waves. I bombed out. I don't remember what the other stage was, and then so I was just having a bit of a shocker. I come to Nazaré, and the media, yeah, maybe João will win this one, all this stuff, and so I'm just feeling all of this. Wow, yeah, gosh, that would be great, but too much. I wasn't channeling it. I wasn't channeling it into what I needed to do. And so the contest started. It was a bit of a bad call, and I kind of, the winds were really strong right from the start. And so first wave of the contest, first wave of the morning, I just go, full, I'm going to go, and I wasn't supposed to go. And so I didn't die, I think, by like a fraction, because my surfboard hit me and it just completely cracked my skull open. And I remember actually Eric was part of the water safety, and I remember him coming up to me, and I'm saying, no, I feel something here, but it's fine. And he was like, I just remember, these little moments that his facial complexion like completely changed. And I was like, oof, okay, something not ideal happened here. Because he was like, just hold on. And so straight to the beach, you're not going anywhere. And, I was already feeling, gosh, this is not going the way I planned, in any shape or form. I still got back out. I almost made the heat, but long story short, I didn't make it. Dropped off the tour. And I mean, this was like as close as I got to depression. Not to say that I probably was depressed and hiding it, but I didn't understand what happened. And so it took me a really long time to understand this value. So it took a really long time for me to be grateful for even having this opportunity, be grateful for being a pro surfer, be grateful for surfing giant waves, So you have to reconstruct whatever, and in our industry, we have to be grateful for working next to the beach. Okay, maybe you're not going to catch the perfect tide, but you're able to go surf. Maybe you're not going to, be at this beach or the other, but you're still able to surf here and there. Or maybe, you're not going to get as well paid as if you're in the private sector, working for an oil company, So all of these things are going to kind of come up, but if you're not able to go back to the core root, and that's why the breathing exercise is such a key thing. You're grateful for breathing. So if you're able to go, even if everything else seems impossible to be grateful for, you need to find things to rebuild. And this value was what helped me go back and stay surfing. Although I dropped off the tour, I was able to kind of shift into the towing, and I still did many seasons towing in Nazaré. And then that wave that I was able to catch was like maybe 3 years ago. So way after this accident. And this accident had everything for me just to quit, because it was so tough to have asked so much support from people and to have disappointed what I felt so many people by not requalifying, that I had to really go back to the core within and find reasons for being grateful. Find reasons to whatever I'm doing, I have to be grateful. Even if I'm surfing like a little wave with some students, I got to be grateful for that. I'm grateful for health. And so if we're all able to do this collectively, then I think we're able to focus on our goals. We're able to focus on what we need to do. And so gratitude kind of goes hand in hand with having fun. Obviously, coming from a surfer, I think having fun is, it's a little bit of, like Jess was saying, this frivolous kind of, interpretation that surfing has. But we might as well embrace it because we have a lot of fun. And so I think what's difficult is when we get into more professional environments and at very high level to keep that spirit without not being serious about what we're doing, not having that seriousness of purpose that we need to have to reach results, to have, to overcome the fears that will block us from achieving impact. And so by having fun, you can only have fun after you prepared, after you did all those other things. So at the very end, then maybe you can let go and have fun and embrace that. So that's that moment of the contest that you're there and you just let go. I'm going to have fun with this. Gosh, I came all this way. If I fall, I fall. If I don't, I'm going to just enjoy it. And so then you're more in spontaneous mode and you're able to enjoy it. I have a story. I was working while I was living in California. The guys who put on the Maverick Surf Contest, they actually ran some marathons. And so, I don't know, does anyone like running here? I don't like personally running, but I respect runners. I don't. And so running, you think, I mean, it's a really basic skill. Everyone can run, you know. You don't really need to be an elite athlete to just run from here to the other side of the hall. But elite athletes, they run at a pace, it's outstanding. I mean, it's something really amazing to watch an elite runner, how fast they run, for how long they run. And so it's a lot of the breath work. And so what I started seeing in some of the runners was you can see a lot of the runners, I mean, they're struggling. They're really in complete agony, you know, just trying to, you know, run and get to the end of the race and all these things. And some of the elite guys, I mean, they're just like, you know, super fast, and their facial complexion is super relaxed. So in some way, they're able to be having fun. I don't know, they're enjoying the breath work. I don't know how they do it. But they really are running at an amazing speed. Obviously, there's ebbs and flows, and there's moments that they probably, you know, need to accelerate, and they feel a little bit more agony through that, but it's amazing to see. And so even running, you can have fun. And so it's about the mindset that you put into things, that certain things you can extract and be able to, through gratitude and just kind of enjoying what you're doing. And I think that's a really important thing in our area, in our scope of work, be it science. I mean, all of the amazing work that all of us here collectively are connected to, it's really important not to lose scope, not to lose, you know, how what we do is so connected to fun. And so I think this is kind of like, obviously surfing is very visible, and so if we're able to put all these things, we can have success. And so success, again, it can be catching a big wave. It comes in so many forms. It can be winning a campaign. It can be, you know, fundraising more for our, you know, nonprofit, opening up an exemplary wave pool. I mean, it comes in so many shapes and forms. And so this is a little bit just my experience and sharing. And hopefully we can all keep overcoming fear. Thank you.